Morning. It's Thursday, September 28th. I want to say one word today that will indicate what I'm going to talk about. And the word is strike. There's good news with respect to one strike. The Hollywood writers' strike is finally over after 148 days. Leaders of the Writers Guild of America unanimously voted to authorize its members to return to work. The tentative agreement marks a turning point in the Hollywood film and TV studios after both the WGA and the SAG-AFTRA went on strike this summer to fight for higher pay and protections against artificial intelligence. Because companies were able to use AI to write scripts, and that terrified the writers. And beyond that, there was the loss of income due to the streaming abilities, because streaming is not covered under their contract. Right now, writers and actors get residuals when a show is showed over and over and over again. But that's only good if it's shown over on TV, or perhaps in a movie theater or something. It doesn't count when the show is streamed. So those additional performances that were put on the air did not give residual money to the actors and the writers. And that was also a major contributor to the strike, along with the artificial intelligence arena. So now, because of this agreement, the Writers Guild Board and the Writers Guild Council also voted to lift the restraining order and end the strike as of midnight on Wednesday, September 27th. This allows the writers to return to work during the ratification process, and it does not affect the membership's right to make a final determination on the contract approval. So basically, the strike is tentatively over right now until some other things get ironed out. Contract that they have agreed to will expire in May of 2026, and it includes pay raises and better benefits and protections against the studio's use of artificial intelligence, and it guarantees money for the streaming compensation, and it also has some wording in there to protect longer duration employment terms and some other perks. So most writers' minimum pay will increase by about 5% immediately, and another 4% next year in May, and then another 3.5% in May of 2025. And of course there will be health fund contributions that will increase by a 0.5 percentage point up to 12% of the company's reportable earnings. So it's probably a very, very good contract. And I think the other day I mentioned to you about how things are written and things like that when they write a script. And this is a little bit different than writing a script. This is work. This is paid for work that is done at some point in time. This is not script writing, which I covered in another rant. And it also had something that workers working on the same script will no longer need to split pension and health contributions. So I don't know exactly what that means in terms of splitting pension and health contributions. Does it mean that each one of them gets their own little health package? I don't know. It was not very clear in the article I read. Now, streaming, as I said before, was a big concern for the writers and the actors. Because if they lose out on the residuals, that's an awful lot of money. So for big streaming projects, namely feature-length movies and things like that, with a budget of at least $30 million, the minimum writer compensation for a story and a teleplay will increase about 18% to $100,000. So if you're writing one of these things, you're going to get $100,000 in pay. That's like, there's no hourly rate there. Because how do you measure the hourly rate? How long does it take to write a script or something? If you can write it in a month, then you made $100,000 for the month. If it took you 6 months, you still made $100,000. So it's not an hourly pay that these people are fighting for or fought for. Residual pay minimums for big budget streaming productions will increase by more than 25%. And other residuals for video on demand services will increase with a 50% bonus to writers when the shows are watched by a fifth. They got some cockamamie thing in here, by a fifth of the domestic subscribers for the first 3 months of the project's run. I don't know what that means. That means if somebody signs up for a particular show, you get a cut. That means writers could take home more than $9,000 for a half-hour episode and more than $16,000 for a 1-hour episode for big budget productions on the top service. And I guess that means in streaming fees. These services such as Netflix and Disney Plus and Max also pledge to increase the transparency about how many hours certain programs were streamed. So I guess there's no way for the writers and the actors to measure how many hours were streamed, because who knows where it's being streamed and when and how. But now the streamers, like Netflix and Disney, are willing to tell the writers and the actors how many hours were streamed for a particular show. So that's a very important thing, because if there was no way of measuring the streaming volume, then how do you determine how much money you're going to make? After reading this article and trying to understand all the intricacies of paying actors and writers, I've come to the conclusion that this is not an hourly wage thing. This is for work that is done at who knows what pace and who knows how long it actually takes to put this whole show together, to write a script, a meaningful script. It could take a day, a week, a year, who knows? So these people are not paid the way most people are paid for an hour's worth of work or a month's worth of work. They are paid for the quality of the product that they produce. And that goes for the actors and the writers. It's the quality of the product. And they're entitled to make as much as they possibly can make. And this money that we're talking about here is not chicken feed. Now, I am sure that there are different levels within this payment schedule that certain writers might be able to demand more, and certain actors certainly can demand more for their performances. But this is a basic set of rules that govern the lives of the people in this industry. And these are not hourly employees or salaried employees. These people are paid for the quality of their work. And so it's a very interesting but complicated process. So have a great day. I hope I didn't confuse you too much. Bye.